believe it's getting on toward 6 o'clock in the morning here in Spokane, chilly Spokane. After 10 days without a heater defroster in the car my wife and I use, we only have one car, it was finally repaired yesterday. We drove it back home yesterday afternoon. $1,085.75 a month. That took a chunk out of my Edward Jones account, believe me. Not that there's much left in it, and there is not. Unless I manage to sell a book finally after all these years of trying to do so. I'll have to lead a far less indulgent life. I'll have to adopt the life of a monk practically to afford a living. No booze, no tobacco, certainly no marijuana. Still expensive, although it should not be. The expense really comes from the taxes heaped on it by the state of Washington in this case. Now, people in Washington on the east side of the Cascade Mountains, where the politics is far more conservative, owing to all the farming and basically far more rural outlook on life. And the congressional seat of that district has been occupied by a woman named Cathy McMorris Rodgers for nearly 10 years now. She's held that seat on 5 elections. And I think the Democrats in this state are perplexed as to how she could ever be levered out of office, although now recently in the Spokane newspaper, the Spokesman Review, there have been letters sent to the editor discussing Miss McMorris Rodgers' ill representation of the state, or at least this area of the state, and that she favors corporate profits over public good. Apparently she does. I've engaged in brief correspondence with her office here in Spokane. I don't delude myself into thinking that she actually read my letter on guns and the ubiquitous Republican approach to guns, which is to do nothing. And by my lights, guns is the core of pathology in American life, at the very core of it. And make no mistake, American life is pathological. I mean, look at our last president. He's an actual pathological reflection of the country. in my view. The reason Trump was even elected is because moderate conservatives found Hillary Clinton, shall we say, unpalatable. Of course, they found Trump far more unpalatable, especially the way he acted during their debate, like a predatory wolf, which is basically what he is, circling around her like some stalking beast. Fuck, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely, I don't know. It was, and Hillary Clinton, she's, eyeballing him askance, she's perfectly aware of what he's doing, and she's amused by it, by this childish tactic of his. God. He was right back there in the military academy when he was, 12, 13 years old, and his father kicked him out of the house for acting up and being a goddamn nuisance. And so Fred Trump threw his son into a military academy where he had to either sink or swim. He probably took a brunt of a lot of punishment initially, but then he doled it out himself later on. Just like any of those places. There's a pecking order involved and the youngest get the brunt of it. Just like in a prison. The newcomers get the brunt of it. Right up their goddamn aching asses. It's rather pathetic how men treat one another. I would say women among one another are far, far more humane. Even in prison, although they can get cantankerous and rather demanding, I would expect, on some occasions. By the way, this Mobile is in Mobile, Alabama.